How to make the most of your drunkenness on Purim. Welcome once again to the Jewish news channel From and Balanced, or if you're drunk, maybe it's From and Not So Balanced. I'm not recommending that you get drunk on Purim. I'm not telling you not to get drunk on Purim. That is your decision. You will discuss that with your Rosh Hashiva or your Rav. But I'm here to say that, look, lots of people get drunk on Purim. Many people do. That's a fact. And if you do, I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Some people get drunk on Purim and actually have an uplifting experience, a ruchnius experience, and grow, and others end up in a pool of vomit. And what's the difference? Now, pool of vomit, all right, you got to learn how to handle your liquor and not drink so much and not go to extremes. But seriously, what's the way to really gain? And what's the key to that growth? And let's step back for a minute. The answer is, quite simply, connecting with people. Not just connecting, but connecting with people in a positive way. I guess if you scream at someone and criticize them, you're technically connecting. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about connecting with others in a positive way, saying things that will make them feel good, and them saying things to you that will make you feel good. I believe, in my personal experience, that that's a big part of it. I have personally seen many, many people use Purim, as I said, to grow, and I've seen plenty of people not, and then just end up just wasted. And the key to drunkenness, one of the big things at least, is that it, as we know, it takes away your inhibition. Most of us, I'm a little bit shy. A lot of people are shy, even if you're not shy. There are things that we won't say when we're sober that we will say when we're drunk. That could be a bad thing, but that can also be a really good thing, because if you say the right things and you'd never say it otherwise, then it's an unbelievable opportunity to make people feel good and to make yourself feel good, to tell somebody that thing you really wanted to tell them, but you just couldn't bring yourself to when you were sober. When you're sober, it happens all the time. So I believe that that's a big part of the key of Purim, is when your inhibitions come off, instead of saying bad things, saying good things, saying things you should say all year round, saying things that will make people feel good, telling a person why you think they're special, why you think they're amazing. Maybe that's even the pshat in Ad Lo Yada, bein Ar Haman LeBaruch Mordechai. You know, there's many pshatim out there, but Ad Lo Yada, until you don't know the difference. What's the pshat? Possibly the pshat is when a person gets drunk, they just, if they're in the right mindset, they want to be friends with anybody. Anyone they see, they're happy to be friends with. Doesn't matter if they're Mordechai or Haman. They don't discriminate at that point because they just love everybody. So maybe that's the idea. Maybe. Just a suggestion that Ad Lo Yada means you should drink to the point where you just want to connect with people and you don't judge, you don't care, you just think that everybody's special. I personally had a story many, many years ago when I was a bacher, about 20 years ago. I was in a new yeshiva and I was very uncomfortable and I didn't really have a lot of friends and I was very insecure. And then Purim came along and there was this certain very chashuva bacher there who we were somewhat friendly, but I didn't really think he liked me, and we barely spoke, and he was very shy. And he came over to me, he got somewhat inebriated on Purim, he came over to me, and he just started telling me all these things about me that he noticed and complimenting me, and I felt like $1,000,000. I mean, it literally affected me for months later, for years later, and we became better friends because of that, and to this day I think it even affects me, because it's like, he thinks that about me? I literally didn't think that he ever had given me a second glance or a second thought. And then it turns out that he liked me, or at least he told me that he did. And that made me realize that you could do this all the time. You go to people on Purim, you go to your Rebbe, go to a friend, you go to a guy, you go to a stranger, somebody you want to be friends with, whoever it is. And you say to them, listen, you're special, you're amazing. And you tell them specifics. You're a big masmid, or you're somebody, I love the way you think, or the way you care about people, whatever it is, make it true. But most people have good qualities, but especially if it's someone you really want to connect to in that way. I mean, it's an unbelievable opportunity. So that should be the focus on Purim, is telling people things you never tell them. Maybe you want to connect to a Rebbe and you're too afraid to, or maybe it's somebody who intimidates you. You can go over to them. And when your inhibitions are gone, so you can tell them these things, you'll make them feel great. They'll like you. You'll probably be friends with them after Purim. Not always, but it doesn't matter because there's always something left from it. There's always something there afterwards. And, you know, I look at this person differently and he knows it and I know it. It's just an amazing thing. Now, 2 myths that I want to bust about drinking. And number one is that people think you cannot control yourself when you're drunk. You get drunk, boom, you're totally out of control. It's not true. Some people, at least in my experience, some people want you to think that you're out of control. Now, if you drink way too much and you get plastered, then maybe that is true. But many, many, many people who get high and get buzzed and get inebriated are still in control. So you think, well, if I just have a couple of drinks, I'm going to be out of control and lose control. It's not true. You're in control. That's number one. And number two is, and again, within reason. But in my experience, other people that I've spoken to don't think you just automatically lose control. Don't get carried away, but don't think you automatically will lose control. because that won't necessarily happen. And number two, people think that you need to drink a lot in order to get to this point where you're willing to say anything. Well, you need to drink an awful lot. I don't agree with that, and here's why. If you're looking to say things, then if you're looking to say something to somebody, you have an idea of what you want to say, or somebody you want to connect to, or whatever the case may be, all you need to do is get a little bit buzzed. This is my belief, and I think others will tell you the same thing. And you have to give off the image that you're drunk. And the reason is because you're shy. But when you get drunk, it's like, all right, well, people are just going to blame the drunkenness, so they're not gonna know, right? In other words, the drunkenness is not me. That's a big part of it anyway. Not the whole story, but a big part of it. So my point is, if you just try to do it and you're sober, forget it. You just try to fake being drunk, it's not going to work. At least probably not. But what you can do is have a couple of drinks. You get a little bit high, a little bit buzzed, and at that point you start to loosen up. So I'm told. And at that point you already are more loose, and you're already saying things that you wouldn't have said otherwise. Now nobody knows. Nobody's counting how many drinks you had. So maybe you're not quite at the point where you're just totally out of control. Good. That's a good thing. But you're still at the point where you feel loose and you're more calm and your inhibitions are lifted. And at that point, you can go and say a lot of stuff. So I believe that even after a couple of drinks, again, not recommending anything, but if you are going to drink anyway, try after a couple of drinks to act a little bit buzzed and a little bit high. And maybe you won't need to go any further. I think that's important. And another really important thing is planning ahead. You know, part of the lack of control is people have a couple of drinks and suddenly they don't know what they're going to do. They haven't thought about it. They just go wild. They just go crazy. Well, believe it or not, you can plan ahead. So I'm told. And you think to yourself, all right, who am I going to speak to? What am I going to say? You can get specific or not. I think it's good to get specific, but even if you don't, say to yourself beforehand, train yourself for a day, for even a week. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be positive. I may drink. I'm not going to go and tell some guy why his snoring annoys me, and I don't like the fact that he chews loudly. I'm going to go and tell a guy that I think that he's a great learner and he inspires me, and I think he's a great friend, and I think that people like him, etc. You know, you come up with something, whatever it is. But that's how to be uplifted on Purim. Now, as I said, plan it out ahead of time. People, they don't think about it. The people who act all raucous and all rowdy, they didn't think ahead of time. They just want to party. They just want to get drunk. But if you have that mindset, that kavanah, where I'm going to use this as an opportunity to grow, to connect to Hashem, to connect to other people, then I'm told, I believe, that Purim could be an incredibly uplifting ruchnius experience. Freilich Purim, and thanks for being here once again on Matzav and on the JewishNewsChannel.com. We will see you next time.